Hi everyone, Miranda Pitrone here with you to do another painting video, and I think today I'm just going to work on a 6x9 canvas. I wanted to try doing an outline using these Posca pens and to see afterwards too if I varnish it what happens with them, because I want to make sure I can varnish over these, but I just wanted to do some gold detailing and somebody sent me some of these to try, so I figured I will test them out today. So I hope you're all doing well and excited for today. It's beautiful, sunny, no clouds here, and I'm still got some time here to paint, so let's make a mandala. Okay, so here on my canvas I've found my center already by going from corner to corner with a ruler, and I'm just going to kind of sketch one out so we can see where we're going space-wise with the mandala. Okay, so I'm going to use my compass here just to do a couple guideline circles and maybe some little extras so we can get a design started here. So I just want to kind of start off with a fairly large center dots, so to speak. And then I'm just gonna kick it out a little bit and we'll make a space to do a design in between the two circles here. And then let's kind of kick it out a little bit farther. And we'll toss maybe some petals in here. I was just gonna do kind of greens and golds and blacks, so I don't really have a design in mind. I just kind of want to test them out and see where they take us. So that ring brought us mostly out to the edge there. Okay, so I don't have much experience working with these markers, these paint markers. I have a couple different sizes. I'm thinking I might even just kind of sketch it out a little bit first so that I can trace it with the markers after and kind of see space-wise how the mandala goes. So I'm thinking I might do this one in gold and this one in gold and leave them like that. And then, let's see. So I'm not using a pencil, I'm using my etcher, which is just a sharp piece of metal that I've created here to just kind of scratch onto the black paint surface. And that way I don't have to use erasers or anything like that to get erasure marks and chalk lines and all that, which it's perfectly fine to do, just my own personal preference. So whatever you decide to sketch with, just be prepared for how to erase the lines afterwards. And see, this one, I'm a little off center, I can see, so I'm just going to dip my finger in some water and erase that line. It's more here. And I just kind of eyeball it, but feel free to measure where you need to measure and do what you need to do to create the symmetry that you want to create for your piece. It's kind of like Zen doodling, I guess, where you're just kind of etching in your mandala. Also, another thing, if you really want some of these exact, you can make a little stencil of your first one and then move it around the piece and just trace them all. Now this one is not a square piece of canvas, so these guidelines aren't really going to work for every part of the design. So you're just gonna kind of eyeball where it's going here. And just add different elements to each round as you go. So this is more of like the freeform mandalas that a lot of people have been asking about. How to just do it freeform, freehand. You just kind of sketch it out like a Zentangle. If you look up Zentangles, you'll be able to see you can just go ahead and sketch doodles and add elements as you work your way out, or in either direction actually you can work. So alright, so working on the next ring out, I'm just going to go about halfway up this petal here, make a little arc and do some curved petals here. And you can use these circles as your guideline a little bit by knowing that the peak just goes up and over it and then back down to about halfway on this petal. And that's the fun about these too, is it doesn't have to be exact. And okay, so I was just going halfway up, make a little arc to a peak on each of these. So that you kind of have this little flower going here. Okay, so then I think we'll go above each of these ones that we made here. That's just out to that outer circle that we drew. And we'll come down to either side of those roundish petals, just above our other pointed flower petals here, mandala angles. I'm sure there's probably design names to all this, but to be honest, I'm self-taught and never went to school for this, so I don't know all the names. But that would be interesting to learn. Or if any of you know, you could tell me in the comments and let me know. This one's a little pointy, so I'm going to erase that one. And maybe this one too. They're a little pointier than I wanted. So while these two are drying, I think what I'm going to do is, because this is elongated in one direction, then we obviously have to make the design elongated if we want it to go farther into the canvas. So I'm thinking I'll just do an arc here. Oop. Like that. And then about to here. We'll do another arc here. Let's see, my angles are off a little bit here, but here we go. And then maybe the same on the other side with those two. Fill those ones back in here. Okay, that's the danger with the etcher. Sometimes you can cut up the canvas a little if you get a little too overzealous with your design. So this one. I'm just kind of sketching it in. See, these ones seem like finger space. Yeah, that's out far enough of this finger space here. I use parts of my body to measure too, as opposed to hey, I need it exactly 2 inches, but you can do that because it may be easier. Just depends on what you're comfortable with. There. All right. Okay, so this kind of gives us a guide to go from, you know, without a stencil, and just kind of rough it in, and then you can trace. So I'm gonna test out these Posca pens. I gotta get them going here. So you gotta shake them, and then you have to kind of depress the end, pump it a little bit, and then depress the end to get the paint to start flowing. And this one has a little bit of a finer point rather than the larger one that I showed at first. So I'm going to try this one first, I think, to just kind of sketch in, just because it seems like a smaller point would be easier to work with. So I'll draw a circle here. And I haven't tried these on canvas yet. These are pretty nice. I have my 2 rings here, and I think I'll probably do the outline of our petals in the gold too. Why not? We'll go for this and do the gold and green type of design. Somebody was telling me last night on the live chat too that we can blend these with the other colors. Why I'm here. So if you have other color Posca pens, they said they blend well together while they're still wet. You can blend them with one another, which is awesome. I don't know how well that works. I only have the gold, and I haven't tried it on canvas, so I haven't tried them at all. This is my Posca debut. Posca. And I may find that I'm just better with brushes and paint than I am with markers. But that's okay. At least you guys get to see what they do, and also kind of see that sometimes certain supplies and tools work better than others for you. So I've been brush painting for a long time. That just is more comfortable. But I think if you did it more too and spent time practicing, if you had extra time, depending on how much free time you have. There, we got a nice little design going in our center here. Okay. think I'm gonna do the decorative ones in a different color, so that's why I'm leaving them ungoldened, undone. And I think because these lines here on the outer edge of these arches are kind of blending into, I can't talk and do these at the same time, and blending into those petals, I'm going to do those in gold as well. And this is a little catching on the canvas, so maybe on stones, if it's on smooth stones, it'll be a little bit smoother of a ride. But that's okay, we'll make it work. See, it's actually really even noisy. You can hear the nib kind of catching. But you could also probably gesso your canvas first and make it smoother too. That might alleviate that issue. So, one more little guy here. Cool. Alright, let's try out our little white pen in here. Let's make some sideways horizontal S's under each of these, because why not, right? So this is the pen that was just for the giveaway that I did, the gel roller. And I have varnished over this one. It works fine with the Liquitex over it. So that's pretty awesome. Let's tuck one more S in here. Like that. That looks pretty cool. I think I'll also use the white to outline these other petals that we created so we can see those. I'm not sure if my microphone is picking it up, but my son is learning to count with Elmo while we paint. Alright. So now that the Posca pen is drying more, it's not as heavy as I would like it to be. I think it's soaking into the canvas. I think I will retrace these gold lines as soon as they're all completely dry, but that'll be something I do for a later point. So let us dot. I'm gonna go with some white, I think, here. And I think I'm gonna put white dots in between the two gold lines that we have there. Yeah, buddy, are you coming to visit? An egg? Do you want to come say hi? Yeah, come here. Want to be on the video?
Have it.
Yeah, have it.
Have it.
Here, will be Mama's video.
Have it.
Can you say hi? Can you say happy painting?
Painting.
Good job, buddy. Yep, you tell them all about it. Yeah, good job. Can you say goodbye? Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just gonna load up my brush really good here. I think we'll go a little bigger dots towards the bottom. So I'm just using the Decoart titanium white. And I'm just going in between the double gold line that we made. Oh. I let the paint sit for a minute to go deal with my son, and it started to get a little goopy here. I should have put something over it or re-poured it, but I hate to waste it, so put a little water in it here to thin it down in a second. Okay, so I think I'm going to use some of this Hauser dark green. And I'm going to start at the top of these peaks and just drag it down into our points here. Just a straight swipe. Next I'm going to go with some of the Dazzling Metallics green. I have the crystal green. And I'm going to go on either side of the swipe we just made with the Hauser. A couple of smaller ones. Just two. Just one on either side of that dark green. Sorry, my phone is going off here. And for the swipes, you're just kind of taking your time. It's not fast. You just take your time and you push down a little harder at the top, depending on how thick you want the top to be, and then let up as you get to the tail end. So I'm pushing down and then I'm letting up. Pushing down and then letting up. You'll get into sort of a rhythm and an angle that's good for you. And I've been doing them for years, and the brush strokes, I like to take my time with and be deliberate about it, to just place it the way I want and not be rushed. Just enjoy the time you have to create. You can see what a difference too putting some color in makes. Okay, I have some of the festive green. And I think I almost dropped my paintbrush. On either side of these, I'm just going to do, I'll just do a big old dot on either side of these, I think. And with the brush, just to make a larger dot, you really just kind of plunk it down with a good bit of paint on it and just bend the bristles around into a circle. Just kind of wiggle it around a little bit, so because this one only has a super tiny point, it's a size 10. And as you get to the bigger dots, you can actually paint the circle. But for these ones, I'm just kind of placing it in the center of where I want it. And then you just kind of bend the brushes around. Does that make sense? I try to just kind of speak it out as I do it, because I know a lot of people watching it and thinking about what's in my head of doing it, and I'm trying to explain it to you all that way, so it's a bit easier to understand, because I know sometimes if you're just watching it, it doesn't maybe look just like I'm pushing down and expecting a dot, but that's a lot smaller, considerably smaller than the other one, where as if I push the bristles around like this, you get a larger dot. And you'll learn how to work with it too if you're using the brushes, or if you're new to using the brushes. It just takes a little bit of practice. And be kind to yourself. Go easy on yourself. It's not going to be perfect right away. Even mine aren't perfect. If you actually look up close, you'll see some of them aren't perfect circles. I feel like that's one of the beauties of art, is each person has a different thing they bring to it, so everybody's is going to look different the way they paint. Like you can tell on some of the older artists' paintings, their brush strokes are different, or which way they did brush strokes, or which direction. They can even tell what brushes they used. You know, if they used the same brush all the time that was missing a couple up at the top, you know, they would know, because the strokes are different. Some of my designs end up lopsided because I'm curved in my spine a little. I go one way. So everybody has their own thing. This one turned out a little bit darker than I wanted it to be, that Hauser green. I can't see it at all in the video. I'm hoping it'll pop a little more when I varnish it, but I might actually just do some little white lines above it to kind of highlight it a little, or maybe a lighter green on it. I'm not sure. I'm thinking about that in my head now. Alright, so that was our festive green to do these big ones here. Okay, I'm thinking I kind of need to help out the metallic gold a little bit with some other ones. I have rich espresso. What else? I have copper. I don't know about copper and gold. So I'm debating those. I also have the chocolate, which is a yummy, yummy metallic. Okay, so I think firstly I decided on the 24 karat gold extreme sheen from the Decoart line. And I want to put a big old dot up here. Let that brush soak for a little bit and grab another one here. So, do I only want to do them on these ones? Or do I want to do them all the way around? I think I will do them at the top of every white petal that we did. And the extreme sheen is gorgeous. It's a little bit sticky, so you do have to be careful after when you pick up your tool. My ferrule is loose on this one. like I was saying, it's a little bit stringy here, just because it's thicker, but it's got really nice shine to it when it dries and great coverage. It is a little bit thicker, so I just kind of dot it back over if I push down too hard. As I said, I'm gonna try to speak what I'm thinking to y'all, what I'm actually doing as I paint, because sometimes it helps the thought process to just know. And pop the bubbles. See, it's like sparkly. It's got little gold flecks in it. It's so pretty. It'll really beef up this piece. Maybe beef isn't the word I want. Bling! There we go. See, I'm just pushing the paint around basically into a circle with the bristles are soft enough to accommodate that. Especially for the larger dots, you really just push it around where you want it to go into a circle for your dot. And if you have your dotting tools, you do just have to be careful, especially if you're using the acrylic rods. Let me see, do I have any of those? Somebody sent me some of those. No, here's one. So the bottom is flat. So if you're using these with the extreme sheen, just be really careful when you dot to pull it completely back up off your piece, because it will leave a string, and if you do it off to an angle, it's just going to flap that string of paint right across your item that you're working on. So that can be extremely frustrating. But it's a challenge to work with, but it's fun and it's gorgeous afterwards, so it's worth it. Alright, so now in our outer realm here, I think, let's go for some white. White stripes. So back to the Snow White, or the titanium white. I also have Cotton Ball multi-surface if you're looking for a paint that's a little bit thicker. That's a good one. Okay, so I have a good amount on my brush. I'm just going to push down hard at the top and then go slow and let up at the end. And you can do these with your, if you have the dotting styluses, you can do the same. It's not about pushing down with those, it's about how much paint you load on those. So, practice the size you want for the length of the swipe that you need to do on a piece of paper to get kind of a gauge going on what size you need and how much paint needs to go on it. There, I think that works. I'm just pushing down hard and then slowly going down towards the point of that one below and pull up. Same on either side, you're just pushing down and pull up. You'll get into a rhythm for it. It's not that bad. And if you're doing the dotting tools, like I said, smaller, because it's a shorter distance on this canvas, you're going to want to go with probably a 1 millimeter, your tinier ones. And also be kind to yourself with these as well. They don't have to be perfect. It's like the dots. You know, it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. You know, with the dot, it's not going to be 360 degrees exactly. Just got to be careful not to stick my pinky in the gold here, because it'll give us a string. And see, down towards the bottom of that one, I couldn't even drag out the swipe. I just put a little white dot to keep the symmetry of my pattern going, but it's not going to be the perfect same size on every side. And it's still going to look fine. Plus, one of the things people don't think about is you're up close and personal with your piece like this, with your face in it, you know, and other people, unless they're an art critic, they're not going to be super close counting how many dots you did. Oh, you only did 11 there, 2 here. Well, that swipe's 2 inches long. That one's only 1.5 inches. It's art. Just enjoy doing it. It's so much fun. And see, even that one got a little wavy. If I really wanted to, because we have a black background, I could just kind of scrape off that paint if you want it perfect and go back over it with the black, and then you can come back and fix your swipe. We're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Reality for us is that there are flaws, so I'm just gonna leave it. I like the reality of that as well, because you're putting in the effort to create all this. You know, stencils can be handy when you're just starting out, and I have trouble using them, admittedly. But, you know, they can be handy when you're just starting out, and or if you even need that guideline, that's fine. But then, you know, you still get to make it your own with the elements that you add and the colors you add. And see, I actually have so much paint on here, it's coming up over my ferrule. A lot of people think it's like a paint-filled pen that I'm using, but I just load it on, and that way you don't have as many brush strokes because you're using a thick amount of paint. You don't have to go back over it. I don't anyway have to go back over it. I can't speak for the pressure that other people put on the brushes, but that's just what I use here. There. Okay, that's all our white ones. Alright, so I think while I have this extreme sheen still out here, I think I'm gonna go a couple more out like that. A, so I don't waste the paint, but B, I feel like the design just needs to come out a little bit more, and it gives me an excuse to use more of this paint. Remember, push down and wiggle the bristles around. Especially with thicker paints like this extreme sheen. Ooh, I almost got a string. And then one more. Alright, so I just walked away and came back, which sometimes I need to do when I'm working on something, but my little guy needed me, so coming back to it, I'm thinking that I just want to do a huge center of the metallic green, kind of like when you do the big center for a PBO pour. So I'm just going to pour it right in the middle here. And then I'm just gonna push it around with a filbert brush, but you can use anything you have. And the reason I do this too is you save yourself from having excessive brush marks. If your paint is thicker, especially in the center, if you're doing a larger center, if it's thicker, you're not going to have brush lines. I'm just kind of wicking it over to where we have the Posca paint drawn so that you can't see any of the black. And we'll see how this dries. I might have gone a little too heavy on pouring it, but we'll see how that dries. It's gonna take a while. I poured a little thick, but that's okay. Just push it out a little there to clean up my lines a little. Sometimes I can't see it until I look up on the video because I'm on the opposite side. Alright, so I am back to finish up this lovely little mandala, and I got some apple green here because I'm going to try to brighten it up a little with the greens. So we're going to do some swipes along the outer parts here to just kind of add into the design a little bit. So I'm going to start with the apple green up here and just kind of drag it down in to follow the line of that petal. And then I'm going to do it on the inner ones here, so we'll do it around all of them. And again, if you're using the brush, it's just a well-loaded brush. Push down decently hard, and then let up at the end. So it's about at the circle that we drew for a guideline on the outer edge, right here. I just realized I told you guys the wrong color. This is the foliage green, not the apple green. I was debating between the two, and this is the actual one I poured in my palette. I realized that as I'm pouring it on the, as I'm putting it on the canvas. But it's the foliage green. But it is a lighter green, just so we're lightening it up a bit here. And we're gonna do that on both sides, I think. Yeah, just be careful not to drag your hand through the ones that you've already created. Somebody was telling me recently that when they're dotting and they do one side, that they have difficulty going the opposite direction on the other side, and it is a challenge sometimes to get your brain thinking the opposite direction. So it may be where you place things, you'll have to adjust for your brain working a different way. So I have the same way when I do this other side. In my brain, I gotta think about it a little differently, and I hold the brush differently, and you just have to get a different angle that works. It's more of a compatible angle, or the way you hold your tool, or whatever for your... But you'll be able to do it. Just gotta try different ways. It does take some practice. But it's worth the results. I usually practice a little bit every day if I can, even if it's just for like 15 minutes while I have a break, or just get the kids down, or just to kind of keep your skills active and the muscle memory going. There, so that's brightening it up a bit there. I'm debating in here, I want to put one of the greens. So I'm just debating if I want to go darker or lighter. Kind of really like that metallic. I might just do a big old dot of the metallic green that we had, the crystal green. And you can see mine are a few different sizes, like some are a little bigger than others, so I probably can only fit maybe a big dot and a little one above it. That's another thing too with the brushes. See, I haven't had to even reload yet. And the dotting tools are a little more challenging with keeping that much paint. And sometimes you can even steal from the paint you already have down, which I often do. But see, you just get all those done with only one dip, basically. But it just all is a matter of preference. Love that metallic green. Okay, I think we used the Irish moss here, so I'm just going to do a couple swipes in there. Now that these other ones are dry next to them, I won't risk blending them or bleeding them into one another rather. So these are just gonna be little ones, so I don't want as much on the brush. And I don't push down as hard because you just want a little tiny flick like we did with the white ones. And incidentally, for those of you who are asking about how I painted this sea turtle with my husband, these are the swipes that I did individually in between each section on the turtle's back, on the sea turtle. I can grab it at the end of this and show y'all if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about. See, this one got a little crowded, so it's going to be even smaller in there, just a little tuck of color. And it doesn't have to be perfect with a perfect tail or anything like that. You're just getting the idea of the formation of your pattern, the continuation, I'm sorry, of your pattern. Crowded myself in today with my water glass and my coffee and too much going on here on my desk. Tucked in, and they're not exactly the same all the way around, but see, you can see how it just brings a piece together that in the same spot, it just continues your pattern. Okay, and I think to finish off the outer edge, I'm gonna go back to our pen just because I used it earlier on. Why not continue the theme on this piece? So let's see, how about some fun kind of swirls up here? Yeah, why not? Oh. Now, of course, as I'm doing it, I'm thinking, should I do it on all of these cold sections? Inner and outer? Yeah, probably. Why not, right? That's the thing, is next time we could just go back and do it a different way. If we try it this way, or if you really don't like it, the black background, you can paint over it and continue it in a different path. I've done that before as well. Tuck that little guy right in there. That one got a little away from me, so I might even go back and blacken that out. I don't know. We'll do them and we'll see. Trial and error sometimes. You guys don't always see that because of the beauty of video. I can pause it and delete it, but I figure this way too, you're seeing the whole process. Sometimes how I go through it is back and forth. Do I want that? Do I not want it? Sometimes I've even put it out as a poll in my group. My group on Patreon gets harassed sometimes. Do you guys think I should put this on, not put this on? What do you think of this design element? So, it's just a fun way to be involved with one another. And it gives me some ideas, because, you know, we all have different ideas of what we find aesthetically pleasing. It's interesting for me to see the difference in what people think and your background and your color choices. I mean, there's so many things that influence what your opinion would be on something. But see too, once you get out here, I mean, there's other things you could fill it in with dots. I could do a couple more swipes. Each mandala can be totally different just by taking a different direction at each point. All these big guys feel like they're hanging out there, but we'll see. I gotta come back to it and see how I feel about it. Okay, so the more I'm thinking about it, these do feel like they're out too much, but I think if we fill it in a little more with a big white swipe here, or the metallic green, I don't know, what do I want to do? Maybe the metallic green. Let's continue that on throughout the piece. Why not? I'm kind of obsessed with the metallics anyway, right? Alright, what did I do with my brush? And if not, I can go back another time and do something different. See, but I think this is gonna be the final touch here. Yeah, that works. I already know. Works for me anyway. See, that's the point though of art, is y'all have to do what works for you, because that's what makes each piece you do yours individually. It's from your heart, it's from your brain, it's from your mind, but practicing these can kind of get your creative juices flowing. When I was younger and I first started creating artwork, I was obsessed with M.C. Escher, and just the optical illusions he created with his artwork were just amazing to me. Or the transition, he's got one where it's like, I think it's just a wavy shape, and then he morphs it into birds flying away. It's like it goes from black to white too. Some of them are just unreal. Or a staircase that starts in one direction and then it's like you keep ending up back on the same floor. If you go around, you're like, wait, same floor, wait, same floor. It's just amazing to me that people, their brains work so awesome like that. So M.C. Escher, good thing to check out if you don't already know who he is, which he's pretty famous and a lot of his stuff is out there now, but when I was a kid, I was obsessed with him and his artwork. It was just awesome. I actually took a class just on his stuff. And we did transition work to fish to cats that turns into, you know, as you paint it or sketch it across, it would turn into the next thing. Super fun. I don't want to stick my hand here. I should have watched where I was putting my hand here. That's alright. I think we're okay. Yeah, see how that filled in a little more next to them? I think that was helpful. There we go. So there is our finished little 6x9 canvas. And I integrated a few things on this, but what I want most to see out of it is after I varnish what this Posca pen looks like. So I might even go back over it again with the gold to just see if it darkens up, but you guys can comment too if you've done that before. I tried it a little bit in certain sections and it didn't seem like it was covering anymore. I still feel like I can see the grain of the canvas behind it. So maybe sealing the canvas ahead of time is the way to go for this if I wanted to use the Posca pens. Posca pens, I know I don't know how to say it. I keep saying it different, but yeah. So there is our finished design on this one. So if you guys are looking for more of my videos, if you just kind of happened upon these, then I have a whole channel that you can subscribe to and come see everything that I've created for y'all. I'm also on Instagram if you're just looking for a quick view of things or to get involved in a little art community. I'm on Instagram, I have a Facebook page, and then also I have my Patreon community where the viewers, actually the subscribers, get these videos first before anyone else. So if that is an interest to you, please feel free to check out my Patreon page. Alright, I hope you're all doing well, and I hope you enjoyed this little festive kind of March mandala. Take care. We'll see you again soon.